next, we're going to have Ian join us from the Bushel Farm team. So I think it's important to note what kind of this is a unique area of Bushel. We talk about this being the only tool that we have that we sell to farmers. And if you saw the CRM demo and you see the data that Bushel Farm has, from rainfall to field activities to the ability to tell a third-party service provider what you might need done on your field and which field it's going to be and what rate, to the P&L, to the crop marketing component, you start to question, and we're getting this feedback even today. We knew this was interesting, but why can't Farm and the Bushel CRM tools come together sooner is a lot of people's questions I think we're hearing right now. And Bushel's in a unique position where we have a farm management software alongside an agribusiness set of tools. And I think there's nobody else positioned like this. And it's also challenging because we don't typically do a good job. We don't call your farmers on your behalf. We have you do that. We sit behind the scenes and help you in that buddy seat, right? But when we go to the farm tool, we have to figure out how to talk to farmers. And we are sometimes not great at that, and sometimes we're pretty good at it. We've got about 7,000 farmers who pay for that tool in the United States and Canada now, and then some thousands and thousands of others using the rainfall capabilities like that. So I'm going to have Ian come up here and tell you a little bit about how this works from an agribusiness perspective and where we're going, and hopefully you all see this vision that we're trying to come together. Because it can be a little complex, but we are in a unique position here. So Ian Hall, he is an average hunter at best. I know this because I went with him, and he hasn't hit any pheasants when I was there, and I shot multiple, if I remember right. And also he's a pretty good product manager of Bushel Farm. So welcome, Ian Hall.
Thanks, Jake.
Thanks, buddy.
Like that? Buzzers are under the table.
Like Jake said, I'm our product manager on Bushel Farm. My background's in production ag. My family farms in northeast Nebraska. My background's in helping farmers adopt technology. I've been thinking about this for a little bit, and so like Jake said, it's a unique offering from Bushel. Your Bushel mobile application is one of many applications that farmers have, and I like to think that I sit in the messy middle of the farmers' workflows. So what we're going to go through today is how farmers are using technology through the agribusiness to make better decisions. And so some information from the state of the farm to give us an idea of how to frame this conversation, how to frame these thoughts, and kind of where we're going with Bushel Farm. So word from the street, right? Our State of the Farm survey tells us that farmers are using on average 3 apps to track some but not all of their operation. So when I think of mobile applications that a farmer has on their phone, I hope they're using your Bushel mobile application. It's a great application, good information, a lot of stuff's in there. The next one is probably going to be JD Ops, climate, something to do with the tractor. That's easy to think about. Every farmer loves sitting in the tractor. We all think about agronomy pretty significant amount of the time. And then what's that third app? Weather, accounting, could be this, could be that. And so where that's good is that at least some of those records are digitized. And that's a great start. But what we see and what we hear is that 50% of farmers are still, or 2/3 of our farmers are still using pen and paper, spreadsheets, and then some sort of disorganized where manual entry is required a second time, and there's additional work to be done to go from I have information on my smartphone to I need to make a decision, and it's going to take me a while to get back to the people that are employed at your facilities. So with that in mind, the second point of information here is farmers are not prioritizing their marketing, and they're not satisfied with their marketing. We know, or I think most of us understand, that farmers aren't generally really good marketers. In a good year, in a great upswing when supplies are short, we get a rally in harvest. 21, 22, we have really good ideas that competitive global supply chains tell us that American grain is expensive for you grain buyers, but that's great for a farmer, right? In the squeeze of 2024 that we're seeing today, half of our farmers are storing and ignoring, popular term. And then the second one is we're using spot grain sales to deliver for cash prices and getting grain to the market the day of delivery. And so forward contracting is something that Bushel Farm's trying to help farmers produce a little bit better information about. And one thing that I want you guys to think about as we roll through the next couple slides is if you call up a farmer and he's sitting in the tractor and we get a rally, let's say WASDE comes out today and it says corn's really going to rally, we're limit up, what a day. How long is it going to take the farmer to take the 2 applications they have in their smartphone? Maybe it's in their shirt pocket on a receipt. Maybe it's back at the desk. 3 weeks later go by, and you're unable to buy grain during the rally to help the farmer because they can't make the decision in real time. So who are they looking for to make those decisions? Who's providing them the technology in their pocket to have it up to date and ready to go? And so that's where we're going to go with the next couple minutes of how are agribusinesses providing technology to farmers today to help that relationship go back and forth, as well as make data more available and more relevant to both of your operations. And so why Bushel Farm? Jake touched on that, so I won't go too far involved with that. But in what I like to try to do in less than 3 minutes, if you come see us at the demo stations, is I can get you a field setup, I can get you rainfall and heat information, I can get you a general cost of production going pretty quickly. And based on an average yield, we can give you a per bushel break even rather quickly, right? We can even throw in an estimated basis to give you, a limit up in corn tells me that on 250,000 bushels, I'm making somewhere in the neighborhood of $25,000. Check my math. Like Jake said, I shoot a lot, but I don't hit them all the time. That's where I like to see Bushel Farm going. That's where we like to hope to provide the better information. And there's been quite a few of you in the room that are already helping farmers do this by endorsing Bushel Farm. So when Bushel bought Farm Logs back in the day, 2021, we heard a lot of feedback from the agribusinesses that this is great for the farmer. We really want our producers to be well informed, but what does it do for me? And so there's 20 of you on here, everywhere from North Dakota, Montana, Texas, Idaho's on here. We've got some big players. We've got some smaller players that are providing farm to the farmer at a discount. So no risk to the agribusiness, 10% off for the lifetime of the subscription. And then we're working with some of these other companies that I'll mention in the next couple slides on what else can we do if further investment's required. So first of all, thank you to the companies that trust us to help you make those relationships better. And thank you for letting Bushel Farm be the 3rd app in your farmer's pocket. Some feedback that we've gotten from you that tells me that we're going in the right direction. 2 of the quotes. There's a group of producers out there who are hungry for information. They're willing to share. They like to benchmark themselves. And they like to understand what their operation is doing and if it's doing well. The other side of that is what happens if it's not doing well, right? So just clarity. Clarity is really important in any decision making. I have to know what's either in my bin or coming out of my fields in order to make a decision going forward that's beneficial for my operation. And then the second one that's highlighted there, as far as I'm concerned, it's part of the organic relationship. So if I come to you asking for help, which a lot of farmers do to a grain buyer, maybe it's timing of sale, maybe it's how to sell, maybe it's pricing. How are we helping the relationship grow through being the trusted advisor? My first day of Bushel, one of the things that I heard is the trusted advisor is who we do business with, right? We go to the agribusiness and you trust us to handle your data. And I think Bushel Farm does a really good job of helping the agribusiness and the farmer have a trusted relationship. So I'm going to highlight somebody that I think is doing a really good job of fostering organic relationships with their customers and being really technology focused. Scott, I know you're in here, but Scott leads SB&B Foods out of Castleton, North Dakota. It's an IP grain company that puts non-GMO soybeans into Southeast Asia. And if you know anything about soybean food products, tofu, Nido, soy milk, it's a food product, right? So we can't spray certain things. We need to know where it comes from. And the consumer sensitivity towards those things is paramount. Non-GMO beans are a big thing in healthy, maintaining a lifestyle that's desirable in those countries. We see a little bit of that happen in America, but let's walk through what that actually means for a company like SB&B to have that information to drive a premium towards their export product. 6 simple steps, but much more complicated for Scott and his team. So Bushel Farm's going to have a field in it, right? We can bring that information in from a shapefile, a CLU, or John Deere and Climate, which are great. But then what happens when I need to share my field boundaries with Scott's staff? So what we're doing is we're sharing those field boundaries with the staff members so that their regional agronomists can go in and say, John, you're doing a really good job on these fields. Bill, we wish we'd do maybe something a little bit different. Consultative advice to help the product be as good as it can be at the end of the day. Once those products are applied and those decisions are made, those in-app activity records are either coming in from John Deere or manually being entered into Bushel Farm. And those are centralized in an account that has access for both the staff member and the farmer. In the season, we can collaborate in the same place. At the end of the season, we don't have to redo those records. We push a couple buttons in the back end of Bushel Farm, and we can print out that report to give to Scott and his team, and he can say, these bushels that came from these fields in these states are able to go on an affidavit that says that this non-GMO bean is from North Dakota, Wisconsin, South Dakota, or Minnesota. So really powerful, really, it sounds simple to me, maybe it doesn't to you, but very important for keeping field level records and collaborative environments going for them and their staff. This is our third year of our partnership. We're finally kicking off, making it as easy as possible. I'm really excited to see what happens when we can put a QR code on a label, on a box of tofu in the next couple of years. And that's part of the vision. The next part of the vision is around grain marketing. So the last year, Bushel Farm and one of the largest grain buyers in the country have taken the template of the feedback that we've gotten and started to collaborate in a grain marketing advising program. And so what we're trying to do, kind of like what Colette's doing with the CRM, is building a customer list, providing collaborative amounts of data, and then as that tool is the right tool for both the staff member and the farmer to think about quick data entry, the right updated pieces of information, futures feed, automated contracts. If you remember last year at the Bushel Buddy Seat Conference, we debuted Bushel's standard contract interface. So all of the contract records that come in from all of the agribusinesses can be permissioned to be shared with the agribusiness of choice or the grain advisor or whoever it may be. In this case, it's a grain buyer. So with that information, right, in less than 3 minutes, we like to think that we can get into a cost of production, a production estimate, and then we can automatically bring in those contracts to give you an idea of an up-to-date grain position. So then what do we do with that? And the question I want you to think about is, the grain originator calls the farmer and the tractor, and we say, hey, we get a price rally. Can you sell me grain today? Or how can I help you sell grain to me if that's the desirable outcome that you're looking for? Collaborative environment, single entry, and up-to-date financial records if that's where you're going with these things. So that's a lot of information. I know we're about to jump into the family feud. So I don't have anybody up here in my buddy seat today, but what we can do in the near future is have Bushel Farm and some of your farmers' buddy seats brought to you by the agribusiness. So appreciate the time. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.